Hey guys, Personal Defense, and this is going to be another frequent asked questions video slash firearms basics video. And today I'm going to talk about grip on a pistol and grip on a revolver. Alright, so let me start out by saying I am by no means an expert. I am not suggesting that this is the way you need to grip and fire your pistol or revolver. I'm not saying this is the right way. I am by no means trying to tell you what to do or how to do it. I am just saying this is how I learned, and I hope that this can give, this might be some tips to some people who are wondering how they can get a good positive grip on their gun, or maybe you don't know how to grip the gun, and this might give you a good starting point on how to do so. Alright, so we got a Glock 22 here, third generation, and I got the Smith & Wesson Model 10 with a really crappy small wooden grip. But we'll talk about that here in a second. The way that I fire my pistol, or the way that I stand, I tend to use an isosceles style stance and grip. And I know some people will argue with that, the Weaver style. There's all kinds of different styles, and a lot of them I don't even know anything about. I'm not saying that I use the isosceles, by the book, but that's pretty much how my stance and grip is. So I'm just going to show you the fundamentals of my grip on a pistol, and just a few basic things that if you're new to shooting or you think you have a weak grip, what I think you should do. So what I typically do is, this is empty by the way. So what you want to do is with your strong hand, in my case it's my right hand, you want to get your hand as high up on the grip as you can. Now some pistols like a 1911, they have that grip safety, and sometimes they have that added bump which helps you get up high on there. So that's what you want to do, is you want to get up as high as you possibly can, and the grip needs to sit. If you make your hand like this and you make a U, that's where the pistol needs to sit. I've seen some people hold it like this because they can't reach around to the trigger, they have small hands or whatever. In my opinion, you need to learn how to work like this. I know when my wife started out, her hand was too small to reach the trigger. Well, she was pulling the trigger wrong, first of all, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So what she was doing is she was kind of holding it this way so she could get all of her finger on the trigger here like that. And what that did was caused this grip to kind of ride on her thumb like this, which meant she couldn't get as high up on the pistol. If you can see there, I'm not as high up as I should be or could be, even though it does kind of look like I am. In my opinion, this is kind of a weak grip. So what you need to do is make kind of a U like this with your hand, and your pistol needs to go back in that U, and you need to get up as high on the pistol as you possibly can. You can see here my thumb can touch the slide release here on the Glock, and that's about where I hold it, and so my finger can touch the takedown piece right there above the trigger. This is about what your right hand should look like, and my fingers are on the grip there. Now you'll notice, and if you're going to fire one-handed, this is how you need to hold it. You need the important thing is you need to be as high up on the pistol as you possibly can be. What that's going to do is that's going to help you control recoil, and it's going to make your follow-up shots quicker and more accurate. So, because if your hand is down lower, when the slide recoils back, the pistol has that much more leverage to kick back like that. So the higher your hand is up, then the more you can control that force. So number one, get your hand up as high as you can on that back strap, as high as you comfortably can. And remember, you want to get it right in the middle of that U, like I said. That's number one. Now, when you've done that, you're left with this grip all open here, and you can see this thumb indent, which is where I guess would be kind of comfortable if you were holding it like that, where your thumb would go. I don't like to hold it like that, and I kind of wish that thumb indent wasn't there. So if you do hold it like this, I guess it's not a big deal, but that's not ideal in my opinion. Now you're left with this big open piece here of grip, and you've got your offhand. So what your offhand needs to do is this fatty part, this meaty part of your palm, that needs to go right there and cover up that grip. When you hold this pistol with two hands, you should have none of the grip showing. As you can see here, if you look all the way around here, none of the grip is showing. So this fatty, meaty part of my palm is going to go there. And I'm kind of going to place this thumb below my right thumb. My left thumb is going to go below my right thumb, but it's going to be angled forward a bit. So number two is you're going to get that meaty part, and you can see how it just kind of fits in there like that. That's number two. You're going to cover up. None of the grip should be exposed when you have both hands on here. That's number two. Number three is like I said, your left thumb needs to be kind of pushed forward, not back like this. It needs to be kind of pushed forward, and the way it should be is your index finger on your shooting hand, or your trigger finger, should line up with your offhand thumb. And you can see there, they're almost identical. Now, when you hold the pistol like this is exactly how your grip should look when your finger is off the trigger. The frame of the pistol is completely covered up. You're up nice and high on the gun, and your left hand thumb or offhand thumb lines up with your trigger finger. Now, if I place my finger on the trigger, you can see, like I said, none of the frame is exposed, and my thumb is up here. I mean, ideally my thumb should be touching there, but my hands aren't that big. That's why if you've seen guns that are stippled, there's usually an index point right here and right here that's stippled on, because that's where your fingers need to go. My hands just aren't that big. So the next part is where you can put your offhand index finger. Sometimes, like on the Glock here, the front of the trigger guard is textured, and like I have the Beretta M9 here, or I'm sorry, the 92FS, the front of the trigger guard is textured there too. I've seen some people, and I don't really shoot like that, but I've seen some people who put their finger on the front of the trigger guard. Now that kind of gives you a good grip on it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because not all pistols are going to be as inviting as the Glock or the Beretta. So that's the basics of a good grip on a semi-automatic pistol. As high up as you possibly can, none of the frame showing, and your thumb forward, lining up with your index finger. Now, another thing I do is you don't want to be squeezing the hell out of this thing so tight that when you pull the trigger it causes you to, to pull the pistol left or right. So what I was taught to do is, with my right hand, or I'm sorry, with my strong hand, I got a nice firm grip on the pistol, but not super tight. Now with my offhand, when I get my grip on it, what I'm actually doing with these fingers is I'm pulling the pistol back into my palm right here. So I have a nice firm grip with my strong hand. My offhand is actually pulling the pistol into my palm, and I'm kind of pushing forward like this with my strong hand. So when I do that, it feels like the pistol is nice and locked in place, and that leaves my trigger finger to be nice and loose, and I can get a nice, slow, straight back trigger pull. That's the to me, that's the fundamentals of a semi-automatic pistol grip. Okay, let's talk about trigger pull on a semi-automatic pistol. There's two types of ways you can pull the trigger. Well, I mean, there's several different ways you can pull the trigger. In my opinion, there's two different types for two different guns. And the way I think that you're going to have a nice trigger pull on a single action style pull, like in a semi-automatic pistol like this, or, you know, the Beretta here is a single action, double action pistol. When it's in single action, this is the trigger pull that I'm talking about, not when it's in double action. But if you've got a striker fire, and I think they describe this as a double action only pistol, but it's actually a single action style trigger pull because it's so light. It's not like a full double action, you know, trigger pull. It's more like a single action with one single break spot right there. So when you have your good grip on it, and I'm not going to hold it in the good grip, I'm just going to demonstrate the trigger pull here. When you have a single action style trigger pull, what you want to do is on your index finger, you want to line that trigger up right in the middle of your this tip of your finger, of your trigger finger. You want to line that trigger up like right there, or even right there. And when you pull it, you want to have a nice, so what you want to do is you kind of want to bend this knuckle out so you get your trigger on that spot, and then you just want a nice smooth pull back. And like I said, that's with a single action style trigger. Just a nice smooth pull back. You know, you can even go slow when you're pulling it back, and this finger needs to look like that when you're pulling it. That's going to help you be more accurate with a single action style trigger. I'll show you in the Beretta, since this has the trigger assurance system or whatever it's called. This Beretta is a nice smooth trigger. So like I said, this grip is a little bit smaller for me than the Glock, so I can get my hand around it better. Again, you'll notice how high up I am on the pistol. It's even making a bulge there. And this is the same thing. Index finger lines up with the trigger finger there. None of the grip is showing. I'm up on it nice and high. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that trigger on that. Oh look, here I'll slightly pull it and you can see right there on my finger where the trigger was. So you can see it, my knuckles bent out, and that's how I'm going to pull the trigger. Nice straight back pull. That's the way you should do a single action. Now with the revolver, when you have the hammer back, same thing. Just place that trigger. This is a nice small grip, so you know I kind of have to have my hand back farther. Right there, just like that. And that's only in single action. Just place that trigger there like that and pull it like that. I have another revolver here. This trigger has some texture on it, but it's the same thing. This grip is a little bit bigger. Same thing though. Just place it right there on your finger. You can see where I had it. And just slowly pull it straight back. So like I said earlier, I am by no means an expert. I'm not a trainer. I'm not certified to train. I'm just telling you, if someone came up to me or if one of my friends asked me how I pull the trigger or how I shoot, or if they said, hey, you know, I'm having a hard time shooting. I'm having a hard time getting a good positive grip. What do you recommend? This is how I generally, this is the direction I'll steer my friends or you know, people at the range if they ask me if they see me or whatever. Like I said, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's what works for me, and ultimately you just have to use what works for you. But I hope that I brought up some points and some ideas that might help you become a better shooter. Thanks for watching.